The 7th of November 2014, 10 p.m. Avon, Indiana. I came home this weekend from college to visit my parents. I realized I left my phone at my house in Bloomington, so I decided to run to CVS real quick. CVS is about a mile or so away from my house and closes at 10 p.m. I left around 9:50 p.m., heading east. On my way back home, west, a little more than halfway back, I noticed a bright gold, copper, orange light that was stationary. It was about the level of the treetops nearby. There were almost no stars present in the sky tonight, so I kept my eye on the light. At first sight of the light, I immediately thought it was a UFO, as I always do. Usually I am debunked shortly after a sighting, but things were surprisingly different this time. I continued driving towards the light and it disappeared from my view behind the trees for a moment. Once I passed these trees, where houses begin along the road, I could see the light again. Being closer now, I could see there was more than just one light. At this point I grabbed my phone and called my best friend. I pulled my car into a driveway, now facing north. It was the third or fourth driveway past the trees, about 7 or 8 houses before reaching mine. All of the lights were stationary and were not blinking. There were 4 of them in a diamond formation and were literally almost directly over my car. I couldn't stop staring. I could kind of see a diamond-shaped outline, and then I noticed another set of 4 lights, in the exact same formation exhibiting the same effects, about 50 feet to the left of the craft above me. These 2 objects seemed to me to be way too close to each other to be airplanes or helicopters. I was freaking out to my friend on the phone. I kept telling him I wanted to get out of the car and that I should hang up and take a picture. After getting off the phone, I, instead, got scared and didn't feel like I should stay that close any longer. I put my car in reverse and sped down the street, to my house. I ran inside to get my dad. I thought he would want to see what I had just witnessed. We got in the car and I tried to show him, but the objects had vanished. We drove around the area for about 10 minutes but only saw a helicopter to the south, moving west. We knew it was a helicopter because of the blue, red, and orange lights and because they were blinking. My dad proceeded to tell me that we don't live in the right area to have UFO sightings, but I have also had 2 extremely vivid abduction dreams within the past 7 years. This was the most real thing I have experienced. I wish I had known about this site earlier so I could more accurately report these dreams, possible abductions I have experienced. If there are other UFO cases that have occurred in my area, I would really like to be informed about them. Thank you. I hope this story helps.
Liston, Indiana at 3:50 on June 3rd. I was sitting on my front porch watching a bird and I noticed a cigar shape in the sky. I had my cell phone in hand and was able to snap 3 photos in a few seconds. I really thought it was an airplane, still may be, but I did not notice any wing structures or tail structure on the item. It moved from the north to the south in a straight line very fast. I just could not believe what I just witnessed. It either went into a cloud or disappeared.
Pittsburgh, Indiana. I observed several craft in the sky at 9 p.m. on the 9th of December 2015 going from NW to SE. When I took a picture of them, I was able to get 3 objects in the frame. When I enlarged the pic, the setting sun in the west belied the objects which showed their shape. I have worked around aircraft for 30 years and it was a shape that I have never seen before. I was at work at the beginning of my shift. I noticed the bright lights moving across the sky making no noise that I could hear. They moved in a straight line about 2,000 feet in the air and about 2,000 to 3,000 feet from me, heading from NW to SE with one bright orangish white light on each craft. I pulled out my phone and took a pic, and I was very amazed to see the outline of the crafts that I took. They traveled at the same speed and level until they left my eyesight.
The 1st of March 2013, Danville, Indiana. I was sitting out a window of the house I was in smoking a cigarette, around 3 a.m., when I saw very clearly a green fireball crash down less than a mile away. This was right after the meteor in Russia, so I jumped back in the house expecting a shockwave. Didn't think a whole lot more about it that night. What really started to get me a bit freaked out was the military activity in the area every night for the next week or more. I saw helicopters searching the area. Sometimes there seemed to be a large helicopter being followed by a regular one. Also, large black SUVs were driving far too quickly by the house regularly. Along with this, there is a small airport in view from the house where nothing ever happens at night. However, I saw, on more than one occasion, lights on with what looked to me to be large military convoys going to and from the airport. This went on for quite some time, but always very late at night, early AM. So to summarize, the real interest in this event was the activity following the sighting rather than the sighting itself. The time I spent watching what was happening is still vivid in my mind, and I think about it often with the hopes of one day having some sort of explanation.
The 30th of September 2015, Coatesville, Indiana. I had woken up between 3 and 3:30 a.m. and was lying fully awake in bed facing my bedroom window, with curtains halfway open, and the window open about 6 inches. I glanced toward the upper window pane, and into view came a very bright white light, traveling from north to south. Only in my frame of view for about 5 to 10 seconds. It moved in a straight line. Not moving quickly, just steady. The light was constant. No streams of light coming down or out from it, just an oblong shape to the light. No defined edges. It made no sound. I wasn't scared. I just thought, what was that? I knew what it wasn't. It wasn't a plane or helicopter. I didn't even think to get up and go out to my front porch, which faces south.
I was traveling home from a friend's house late Friday night, March 25, 2016, on Highway US 40 from Plainfield, Indiana to Indianapolis, about a 12-minute drive. Halfway through the drive, I noticed high in the sky a bright reddish-orange object free falling towards the ground at a rapid rate of speed. It fell into an empty field just to my left. It almost looked like a flare, but with a brighter intensity. I know the Indianapolis International Airport is in this area, but it was no airplane. The only thing it could be described similar to is a flare. It got my attention at first because of how bright it was and how fast it was free, falling almost in a tailspin to the ground. I would say it almost started out at airplane level. I was startled at first and wish I would have had my phone out in time to take a picture or video, but everything happened so fast. I decided to keep driving home instead of checking what was in the field, but I regretted not stopping and looking the whole way home.
The 22nd of February 2016, 11:25 p.m. Avon, Indiana. I was taking out the garbage because I forgot to until that night, when I woke up with an epiphany. What made me notice the object was a large whirl sound, in which I turned and saw a boomerang, chevron-shaped object began descending into my yard. When they landed, they attached me to electrical chains and stuck a probe in my anus. After that I blacked out. However, I remember waking up in an almost steel-covered room, bare naked, with a jello-like substance covering my privates. However, after that I fell back into a deep sleep.
Indianapolis, Indiana. Around midnight on September 13, 2016, my father-in-law, wife, and myself were standing outside of my in-laws' house in a small town of about 400. There was no moon, no cloudy overcast, and the winds were calm. As I turned to walk towards my car, I noticed a bright light at about 20 degrees above the horizon. This would not be unusual where we were at, because we live close to an international airport and are accustomed to seeing landing lights from aircraft entering and departing various traffic patterns. However, this light appeared to be stationary with no external navigational lights. It also appeared to be wider than most of the aircraft normally look. My family also noticed the light. Approximately 1 to 2 minutes later, the light dimmed from very bright to about the same quality as a star. It then began a near vertical ascent directly over our heads in what I would estimate was less than 10 seconds, where it was joined by 2 other objects of the same size and light quality. The 3 objects were performing various maneuvers, including tight circles, abrupt direction changes, and straight-line flight. The 3 objects became dimmer and dimmer as they tracked from directly overhead to the southwest, where we lost sight of them. I had one similar incident approximately 1 to 2 weeks before that I dismissed to some unknown anomaly. The first incident occurred exactly the same way, but there was only one object total that was observed. It was also in the direction of the airport along a flight path used for aircraft approach. However, it was again a very bright light similar to landing lights that went vertically to directly overhead. I have also previously noticed an object with star-like size and light quality that tracks from south to north, crossing 3/4 of the sky in approximately 20 seconds or less. I have attempted to research any satellites overhead on various satellite tracking websites but have had no success find an object that passes overhead at that specific date and time.